All right. John asks, how do you expect AI to begin affecting policies as it continues to develop in the near future? This is a great question
Oh,
because AI is on
yeah, I love it.
everybody's minds. In fact, what was it, two
Yep.
months ago? We did a live stream here on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn on AI, and that was the focus of our
Yeah.
discussion. Like today, our focus was on pen testing. So I know Jamari's got a lot to say about this, so I'm going to let Jamario start, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. One thing I think how we're going to start with everything is going to be a fear based. They've already signed petitions trying to help slow down the progress of AI. I think Europe came out with some policy on banning some portions of AI. I can't remember exactly what it was. I know ChatGPT isn't legal in some parts of the world already. So they're already trying to slow it down because they see the fear. But the problem with any type of technology that accelerates this fast is when you try to slow it down, your competitors are not. They're going to keep putting their foot on the gas and they're going to pretty much take over to a certain degree. So they've already been starting to talk about this already in Congress. They're already, even you can see the congressman, what's up with this chat GBT? When they start talking about it, you understand policy going to come through. But the problem I see is kind of hard because a lot of these, at least members that I've seen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, they're not really techie people, right? They don't even understand what's going on, how to use the technology, so they can't really understand the implementation. Now, of course, they should have people on their staff to inform them properly, but we know when it comes to politics, it's really about public opinion, right? And I think a lot of sentiment now is always going to be job security. So the first thing is economic conditions are the most important things. So I think it's going to be mostly focused on job security. And if it comes to at the cost of replacing a lot of jobs, with if the pie isn't getting bigger, I can see a lot of policies slowing this technology down when it comes to cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, generative AI in general, because again, it's always going to be people first, and then everyone's scared of Skynet. Everyone's seeing Terminator. Everyone's seeing iRobot, and that's what's on everyone's mind. Because when ChatGPT first came out, you just see the plethora of YouTube videos about fear, 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 fear. Where are you going to work? Who's going to take your job, etc. But the truth is, we've been having this same level of fear since the 1800s. I think when they first, the technology of the day was the horse, now moving all the loads instead of people carrying it by hand. The people who were doing it by hand, they started going smashing it, right? Because they saw their job and their opportunity going by the wayside. But the truth is, what ended up happening was people started adopting it and started increasing their productivity. They started giving the people what they wanted, started doing things better and faster. And at this point, I think that's where we're going to be at. We're going to pretty much, as everyone's calling it now, make AI our co-pilot. It's going to be our co-pilot for pretty much everything we do today. I've seen a demonstration the other day with Microsoft. They're integrating their co-pilot into the Microsoft suite of applications. They typed in a demonstration on PowerPoint. Give me a PowerPoint about in speech for a graduation with Maria as the name and the children of this. Make it in a very exciting tone. The PowerPoint created every slide. It created all the images. It created the fonts. It was like 10 slides, scripts, everything, just by typing it into a prompt. So it's not going away. And it's definitely going to make everything a lot easier. I mean, who really likes making PowerPoints? I hate any type of assignment I have to do when you have to do a PowerPoint. It takes forever to really think about the ideas with it. And all you want to care about is the meat and potatoes, and the niceness is what keeps people engaged. But again, back to the policy, because of all this productivity that's going to go on, that's going to be the pushback of slowing down this technology. Because I think we also know, even like when it came to crypto, when the first crypto first came out, a lot of policy like, let's understand this because we don't want to get behind in the technology realm. Because one thing we do know is you get behind the technology realm, you're going to get behind it. Everything else, it's going to be very tricky. I think if it comes to jobs, it's going to slow it down. Maybe, maybe the company has to pay a fine or some type of, I don't know. But I don't think the United States at least is going to pause it or stop it because we have to maintain that advantage.
Yeah, I was going to say this week, actually, I think it was yesterday or last Friday, Congress actually had a hearing on AI, and they're trying to think of what they're going to do in terms of policy because they are getting worried about this. But as Jamario said, it's being thrown in everything. If you go in Excel, Microsoft Excel, I was doing some stuff in spreadsheets the other day, and the old have to actually create this big, long, complex formula to do what I want. Now I just hit a button and say, go ahead and create this, blah, 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 and it creates all the formulas for you, does analysis, and gives you the answer. So it's a really helpful tool. How it's going to affect policy, I think, is going to be company by company, country by country, and state by state as you look at this. I know one of the biggest things people are worried about is the privacy concerns around it because it is really smart and can get into a lot of people's information. We use AI a lot in our company. specifically to help with course creation, course quality checking. We help it to give us ideas when we're trying to think of something. If you've ever sat down and tried to write 500 security plus questions, it's really, really hard, right? Even just thinking up new names and new scenarios to use. So I can say, ChatGPT, give me 5 questions based on a scenario for this topic, and then I can choose from those, edit those, modify those, and I use it more as the starting point. Then this is the final product I'm going to turn into my boss. And what everybody's worried about is kids are going, they get a prompt from school, they type the prompt in, they take the thing and they turn it in and say it's theirs. That's not what it's supposed to be for. It's supposed to be a first draft. It's supposed to be a helper. It's a co-pilot, as he said, right? An assistant. And I think if we use it in that way, we get a lot of benefit. It is going to affect policies. Just like we can use anything for good, we can use for bad, right? I use ChatGPT all the time for good stuff. I use Bard all the time for good stuff. But you can also make it do some bad things. Like when ChatGPT first came out, I told it, I want you to act like a penetration tester. I want you to write me a keylogger and obfuscate the code. And it created a block of Python code that I could use and put on another system to gain access and be a keylogger on their system. They've now put in blocks to prevent that, but there are ways to do this stuff still. And so policy is important. And I think it's going to be important, especially around the terms of copyright and who owns the material that's being generated, as well as what things can you do, what can't you do, how should you use it in your business, and what is going to be legally and appropriate and acceptable. It's too early, and I'm not a futurist, so I don't know the answer, but I do expect that AI will affect policies for sure. How, I'm not exactly sure yet. That's really going to depend on how all the countries get together and decide to do it. And maybe this is something where like the UN has to chime in, just like international drilling rights in the ocean. No country owns that part. Well, nobody really owns cyberspace, right? And the internet. So maybe we all have to get together, and that makes it a 20-year decision to make that happen. When you start trying to get 180 plus countries around the world to agree on something. So I don't think we're going to get anything quickly. I think it's going to be hodgepodge and piecemeal. I don't think we're going to get a global solution. And so it's going to be per country, where you work, where you operate, where you use the internet, and that'll all affect it as well.